What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing this afternoon on this Tuesday, October 2nd? Just jumped on here right quick. Want to discuss something about the chosen. There's been a lot of debate on who are the chosen, right? And I just want to give my opinion or my view on it according to scripture, um, who are the chosen ones. And once I do that, then I'll go into far as like my experience, far as how or why do I identify myself as being one of God's chosen people? Okay, so I know some say that the chosen ones are the children or the 12 tribes of Israel, children, right? So yes and no. What I mean by that is yes, whose chosen children are the 12 tribes. And if you want to know the names of those tribes, you can look in Revelation chapter 7. And it goes over the different names of the tribes. You can look elsewhere too, but I know that the names of the tribes are in Revelation chapter 7. I myself, I am a member of the tribe of Judah, or Yahudah. Um, you have some people that I've heard said that only the 144, which are the chosen persons, that 144 will be the only persons that make it into heaven. And I want to debunk that with scripture. Um, in Zechariah chapter 13, verses 8 through 9, it talks about how two-thirds will be cut off. Those two-thirds being the air, the air and the wheat. So the two-thirds air, and then the wheat being the one-third, those group of persons will be saved, right? So now, if the 144 persons that's supposed to be saved, if they are this one third, if they're to represent this one third of the earth, right? Think about this. Let's do some math here. There's roughly around 9 billion people in the world. 9 billion. If you divide that into thirds, that's 3 billion. Excuse me. So two-thirds, that's 6 billion people will not see the kingdom of Yahuah. They will be cut off, leaving 3 billion. 3 billion 144,000. 3 billion 144,000. Big difference, right? So that tells you right there that 144 can't possibly represent the only person that will make it into the kingdom of God. If in scriptures, Zechariah, it says one third of the population. One third of the population is 3 billion, not 144,000. Okay? So we clear that up. Also, if you want to know, and about the 144,000, when you look in Revelations chapter 7, it's going to break down far as the chosen and how they're selected. It's 12,000 per tribe. There's 12 tribes. 12 times 12,000, 144,000. Okay? And if you want to know more about the chosen and what role they play in the end days, in the end times which have started there now, I suggest you read Enoch. Enoch goes into detail of the role that the chosen ones will play. If you're not much of a reader, go on YouTube and search chosen ones, and so many videos out there concerning the chosen ones. The 144, you have heard chosen ones, the 144, the elect, the remnant. It depends on what version of the Bible you're reading, and different, they're called different titles, but that's the chosen ones. Okay, now how are chosen ones selected? You have to check that up with the Most High. Pray about it. Want to know? I'm not sure how they are selected, but one thing that I can say, and I say it with conviction, is chosen ones typically, and you can, what I see now and versus what I've seen, in, or read, excuse me, in the scripture, a lot of chosen ones, God, Yahuah, the, so they're not the typical person that you being uh, a Pharisee that was back in the day or a Christian today would deem as someone to represent the Most High. And what I mean by that, a lot of us chosen ones, prior to our awakening, we've gone through a lot. It's almost as if we were being tried and tested and true during our life up until when we had our awakening, when we accepted the call. I myself, I mean, just from the gambling addiction to illnesses to bankruptcy, just you name it, so many things that I myself have gone through, that the average person would not have made it through. That average person probably would have went crazy. Yet it's still I'm here today. Thank the Most High. I'm not in bankruptcy. I have a mortgage. I got cars. This, but that wasn't the case 20 years ago. My life was completely different. Um, any of my past coworkers, colleagues from when I lived in Louisiana, they can contest. The person you see on the screen is not the same David 20 years ago when I was 31, 30 years old. Completely different person. I was deep into gambling compulsively, and it was a whole mess. But y'all, that was all for a purpose, and I'm here today because all of the trials and tribulations that I've gone through, they weren't meant just for me, but they were meant for you all, for people out here to, because Yahuah gets all the glory. He took me from that to this, and he has the power, and then that nobody but Yahuah could have done that. Nobody but Yahuah could have done that. The bankruptcy, the gambling and addiction, illnesses, issues on the job, just a lot of different things. Um, the first time I'd ever heard the word chosen, or as it relates to me being chosen, was back when I was 17 years old. And I told this story a couple of times. I was living in DC. I was on the corner, leaving a drugstore, about to waiting on the light to cross the street to go back home. And I had this sense that somebody was, that feeling when you at home or you're somewhere and someone entered a room and you like feel their presence. You feel like someone just entered my space. It was like that. I felt the presence. Even though I'm on the street, it's hundreds of people all in the street, but I felt the presence and I turned around. And there was this person standing behind me. And my initial thought was, this was a homeless man. It's nothing. Anyone like myself that's from or was raised in a big city like DC, New York, Chicago, Philly, and so forth, you know it's homeless people. They've been around for a long time. It's nothing to see them on the street. But I can't remember. I can't remember everything he said to me other than he telling me that I'm the chosen one. But when I looked at him from head to toe, that's when I was like, okay, this isn't no average. This isn't your average homeless person. Because the way he was dressed, I'm telling you, I told the story before. He was dressed like a character off the set of a movie of Moses or a biblical film with all black cast. Like he literally looked that part. I'm telling you, he didn't have on. Think about a homeless person and they got red clothes and all of that. He looked like he just stepped off the movie set of a biblical film. He was a reddish complexion, like rugged, ruddy complexion. He had a lock, but it was they weren't long. It was more like an afro lock. You know, probably looked to be maybe 3 inches long or whatever. But our hair you can pull it out or it shrinks, whatever. But he had locks. This is like '91. If you weren't Rastafarian or something like that, locks weren't a popular hair trend in the '90s, the early '90s. No, the onesies and twosies had locks like Lauryn Hill in the late '90s and so forth, but it wasn't popular like it is now. Women when women were wearing, you know, relaxers and perms. Guys was wearing dukes and and S curls, and some of them had low fades. That was popular then, and high top fades and all that kind of carried on. So yeah, and he when he told us to me, his voice, he was like, you are the chosen one, right? I mean, it's literally how he sounded. And he handed me this book. Later on that day, I showed my cousin the book. At the time, it just looked at foreign. It didn't look like it was something that someone who is a Christian should have. The book was a lot of math and a lot of I get astronomy and astrology mixed up, but not the zodiac signs, but like a lot of math, like geometry and calculus type math, angles, whatever, and stars and the moon and all that kind of stuff like that. A lot of stuff like that was in this book. The book was a pamphlet. It looked to be maybe this is the '90s. The book may have been like 30 years old, maybe something like that. 30 years old, 40 years old, whatever. And I throw it away. I hadn't, but I did. Um, and roughly, I don't know. I can remember if it was, it was 91. I mean, I'm 51 right now. If this was the same week, but I know it was within the month. If not the same week, maybe the week after. At the house, my uncle was staying with us, and I was in the living room. And he came out of his bedroom, because we had a guest room downstairs. He came out of the guest room in the living room where I was, and he was like in a panic state. Like he was want to explain himself, but he was so excited, and he was like, David, I saw you in the vision. I saw you. You was and you was all over the world, and yes, and he was just so excited trying to explain himself. And I'm just sitting here just listening to him, explain himself. And I mean, he was just going on and on. They asked me to pray for him and all of this. So that was my experience of being this chosen vessel, chosen person, chosen by Yah. And I never, how can I say this? I never thought for a moment that either person was not telling the truth. That never entered my mind, like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. No, he don't know. I never thought that. I never had that thought. It just stayed in the back of my mind what these two gentlemen had told me or shared with me throughout the years. So, man, I can just go on and on about like uh, dealing with being a chosen one. Us chosen ones, we tend to attract a lot of people. You're chosen before you conceive, before you're born. Y'all chooses you. So whether or not I had accepted a call at that during that time, I was still chosen, right? Still had gifts and whatnot. Hadn't really tapped into them, but they were there, meaning like discernment and different things and whatnot. Um, the gift of prophecy, a seer. That's one gift that I have that I've had for a long time. Never knew what the name of it was, and just knew that I had that. So, example of a seer. And when a seer, most people think of just eyes seeing. Like that's like the obvious. You're a seer, you can see with your eyes. But a seer is way more than that. I'm gonna explain a little bit, but I'm still learning myself. So you can go on YouTube like I do and learn a little bit more. A seer is like all senses. I mean, seeing with the eyes, um, visions, dreams, seeing things in the natural, in the carnal, 3D, sensing, sense like sense stuff, um, smell, touch. It's a lot more than just actual seeing with your eyes. So as a seer, I seen a lot of different things. Especially when I was younger, I used to have. I don't know. I don't know. I thought everybody had this, or I'm not sure because I never really like asked other people, "Do you do this? Do you do that?" It just happened. I just went on with it. So I have a lot of deja vu moments. I mean, it was so regular. I could see it'll be like I'm sitting. Let's say I'm just doing something like this in the moment, and I do like this. And when I turn like that, in like maybe a minute or 40 seconds, I have a whole like I see a whole situation played out, like a whole scenario or vision or something, right? like a I don't know, like a whole scenario. Not necessarily bad or good, but just a whole thing. And then like maybe 3 months later, that same scenario that I just seen played out, it'll happen right in front of me. Prime example, it'd be something like this. And let's say when I do that, that'll be me sitting in my car, the mailman at the mailbox, putting in mail. He come and speak to me, say hi. He hand me my mail. He got on a blue shirt. He asked me to have some gum. I'm just going to example. Like, I see that. And that same scenario that I just seen, it happened just like that. I'm in the mailbox. It's not like I know when it's gonna happen. But I'm just in the mailbox like I'm normally am. Hey there, how you doing? Blue shirt. You have some gum. That same. I mean, that used to happen to me all the time. Now that was an example that thing that happened, but stuff like that used to happen so regular, and I was just like, I've seen this. Yeah. When I was 9, I remember standing on my grandmother's back steps of the back in the back of the house, and they're from the country, and they used to raise hogs. And I was looking out at the hog pen, and then my eyes wandered past that into like the wood line. And into the wood line, there was this open area in the woods. And my 9-year-old mind was looking, and I saw what at the time I didn't I shared this earlier during my awakening this year. But at the time, I saw what looked to be like dinosaurs or reptiles, but not little like in your hand, little. I'm talking about big as me, bigger than me. And it was off in a distance. So it was like 300 meters. Let me see. I'm from the military, so I know what 300 meters is. I don't know it's that far. May have been 200 meters away. Yeah, let me say about 200 meters. Anywhere between 200 and 300 meters away from me. And I was just looking. And it was almost like they were in their own habitat. I remember seeing one look like a pterodactyl. Um, that kind of reminds me what they call it. Is that what that is? But one like a pterodactyl. Yeah, it was like a lot of them may have been like 6. But they was reptilians, but it was big, you know. Not big like dinosaur big, but it was big. I remember that. I never told anybody, I only shared it. This is probably my second time sharing it, other than when I had my awakening back in April. Um, on the jobs, man, we treated so bad on jobs, in churches. I can tell you the countless jobs I've had where, oh, just that's a whole nother video. Just on jobs, being a chosen person and being on job. I'm gonna say that for another video because it's a lot. In churches, experience a lot of stuff in churches. You know, servitude. I served a lot in the church. Outside of singing, I used to sing a lot. I don't sing anymore now. I sing a lot in church. But outside of that, it's servitude. Being in the back of the kitchen helping out. I used to be an armor bearer, different things when I was, in Christianity. And I just remember the attitudes and different things that I had experienced in the church. It was almost like I was tolerated but not appreciated. There was a time, a lot of this I already shared on Facebook, but I wrote it out. This is probably my first time like speaking on a lot of this, me writing it out. I remember being in church. I remember they were wanting people to volunteer because they want to send the youth department, the Kings of Maine. I mean, not, no, that's DC. That's Virginia. They want to send the youth department to Six Flags. And I remember raising my hand and said that I'll sponsor two children, whatever. I'm able, I got money, whatever. And I remember being pulled to the side, and this lady, um, Wilhelmina, is her first name, uh, Willa May, but I think her name was Wilhelmina. We call her Willa May. She was like, basically she told me it wasn't for her per se, because her children was of age. They wasn't small kids. They wasn't in the youth department, but they may have been, but they was older. She said in reference, the people was like, no one wanted me to sponsor their child. And I just was like, I was taken back. Like, what? I'm here. I'm not going on the trip. I'm just going to give my money up to children can go to Six Flags. But he was like, no one wanted me. I didn't know if that was because I came from a homosexuality background or was that. And see, that's all I thought it was then. Because at the time, it didn't connect about being chosen. But it's because I'm chosen. What I remember also, same church, different meeting. Um, they were complaining about the loud music and stuff and the drums and all this that. And so I raised my hand and volunteered. I was going to purchase a noise canceller. That's that glass you put around the percussion around the band, the drums to keep the noise. And they was like, no, nah, we good. We don't need that. And sometime later, they had that very thing, but for some reason they didn't want me to buy it and donate it to the church. I didn't know what that was about. Same church. I remember being accosted in a choir rehearsal. Before male choir rehearsal, we have like a meeting. And this one deacon, I mean, he was very, you know, like angry, you know. Um, now I know he's a narcissist, demon possessed type person. But he was angry. He was like, you know, he accosted me. What kind of work do I do? You know, how do I make my money? And it was so crazy. But I've experienced that. This was years ago. Well, hold on. This may have been probably 12 years, 13 years ago. I left Christianity 10 years ago. So this may have happened 2 years prior to me leaving, so 12 years ago. But I've experienced that even current day now. You know, people just so don't, I mean, simple math. I mean, I have a job, or, I'm in the military. Okay, after we say I'm retired, I get my pension, I get VA, I was working. I'm at multiple sources of income, so why can I not afford to have a house, pay a mortgage? Or why? Someone mentioned to me in my neighborhood, Mr. Day, stays on the street behind me. I've been talked about, people, I'm here by myself in my house, and it was just trying to figure out how I can afford a mortgage. And it's just myself. When you have married couples over here that are struggling, he said they've been tossed. People's like, people say I sold drugs. I've heard that a couple times. People just, he must sell drugs. No, why I can't just have an earnest living and just have a regular job? Someone even went as far as to say I must have a rich white man, a boyfriend somewhere, taking care of me. I just couldn't just be working and just making money. Like what? People, man, when they can't find enough stuff about you, they just like make up crap. Because you don't tell. They be wanting to know your business so bad, monitoring spirits. When they can't find that stuff, they just go to making up stuff. You know. But I remember when I had my weight, it was like an edict went out, like email. Don't mess with him. Don't a family like email. Like no family would talk to me. No family would converse with me. No, it's crazy. I went, I have like 4,900 followers on Facebook. People would like my posts, this, that, and the third. Now, if I get 3 likes from a picture I just do, if I get, just tell you that 2/3, they ain't gonna make it. There's a lot of people that's not gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? So this chosen, let me see what I wrote. I also wrote down here too about chosen people from the Bible. Think about Matthew, formerly known as Levi. He was a tax collector, right? And Jewish people distrusted tax collectors because they worked for the Romans. And it was known that the Romans cheated people. So they weren't someone that Jewish people just hung out with. But Yahushua did, because Matthew or Levi, he wanted to see what all the commotion about. He got up in a tree looking out. And Yahushua looked up, I want to go eat with you and your family. Can I break bread with y'all tonight? Break bread with y'all tonight, eat with y'all. Everybody looking like, why you hanging out with him? But then look at Paul. Paul killed disciples. That Paul killed disciples. That's what he did. But all that changed when he had that little road trip to Damascus. You read about Paul in Acts, I think it's 22. Yeah, Acts chapter 22. Look at Saul. Saul was chosen by Yahuah. And when he had heard that David was going to replace him, Saul was trying to kill David on multiple times. David. Saul was trying to kill David on multiple occasions. And speaking of David, okay, back up. So when they sent who was it that went? Was it some? I can't remember. The name slipped me. But when he went to go pick out the son, one of Jesse, that's David's dad's name is Jesse. Jesse had a lot of sons, 7 or 8, and they kept bringing out all the sons. David was out in the field working, and he was like the last one they brought out. So that was Yah's person he chose, right? David. Guess what? David saw Bathsheba. That was the wife. Let me see. That on my phone. That was. So yeah, David saw Bathsheba bathing on the rooftop and had her brought to him. And of course with her and got her pregnant. Just somebody else's wife now. He tried to cover it up and arranged for her husband to be killed. He was confronted by Nathan, who's a prophet, and Yah punished him by killing his firstborn. And David had repented, and Bathsheba, she pregnant. She gave birth to Solomon. So Solomon is David's son, but Yah used him. He was a murderer and an adulteress. So that just goes back to earlier when I mentioned about the people that Yahuah chooses. Let the world tell it, let the Christians tell it. It's the worst of the world, the grimy people. But if Yah chooses, Yah said, "I can do. There's no respect the person." I don't know the scripture right off, but Yahuah has no respect the person. Meaning he'll use whoever he want to use, and he just seems to use people that the world deems to be lesser than less. So yeah, that's the chosen ones. You know what I'm saying? We didn't choose this. Y'all chose us. And let me tell you, a lot of them, I'll be frank. If we was told what all entails about being a chosen one, the trials and tribulations we had to go through and the craziness and all that, a lot of us probably wouldn't even sign up for it if we had the option to. A lot of us wouldn't have signed up for it. Being set apart, walking away, walking away from friends and family members, being generational curse breakers. A lot of us, that's what I am, one of the generational curse breaker, along with other things. And them demonic entities, them spirits, them familiar spirits that attached to the family bloodline, they hate my behind, boy. They hate me. I'm getting the spiritual attacks left, right, front, back, above, sideways, backwards. Spiritual attacks coming out of everywhere. But y'all got me. He's gonna take care of me, and we'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? But that's it right there. Like, comment, and share, and hey, more content to follow. I supposed to been started doing this on the regular. This is my job, and I left my 9 to 5 job to do this, and I ain't been doing this like I should. So hey, I'm gonna be doing this more often, and you're gonna be seeing more videos from me more often. So then be good. All right.